Yo, what's up everybody? It's Murk here, and I know what you're thinking, I know what you're seeing. You see the Burger Kinglers logo, and that can only mean one thing. The Burger Kinglers are back in action, and I'll tell you where and when if you can't read the title of this video, but we joined the NPCC, which is the National Pokemon Competitive Conference, or the National Porn Collectors Convention, or something like that. I'll come up with more fun things maybe as the season goes on. But this is a Wi-Fi league, which is not something I've done for a very long time, since LBA season 6, maybe? This was my 3rd season there, so I've done 3 seasons of Wi-Fi, but it's been a while. It's been quite a while. Last time I played Wi-Fi was a few fill-in games in the PPL, and it was weird, but we'll see how I do around this time. So just excited to have the Burger Kingler name back in action. We have a pretty good track record with that team. I believe we're like 20-5 or something like that. We have a good record on that team. Of course, not in the most competitive league sometimes, but hey, it's fun. So the NPCC is on its 3rd season now. You guys have probably heard of it before, and it doesn't have the track record for being the most competitive league out there. However, there is some very good competition this season. I definitely think it's the most competitive this league has been. We've got some pretty spooky guys coming in, like myself, of course. Uzi, who we've played in the GPC before, he's a pretty good player, and he'll definitely be stiff competition. Burke is a perennial league champion and cool dude and stuff. Juan is a nice guy, and he made it to the finals last season. He's a PPL guy. He's also really cool. Who am I missing? There's some other guys that I really haven't heard too much of. The founders are Jacob and Brad, or U-Turn Crobat, so make sure to go check them out. They're cool guys. I really don't know a whole ton of people in this league, which is fine. I know that there's not a ton of those legend types. Like, it's obviously not going to be as competitive as the NPL because, well, nothing is, but it's definitely going to be a challenge. I really like my team. This is the draft analysis if you couldn't catch my wave. And I definitely will have to plan well and play well, of course, but I do think that I have the tools to win a bunch of games, make playoffs, maybe win the league. We'll see what happens. We'll see how much how everything goes down. So Wi-Fi is going to be a little interesting because I don't have my reliable calcs. I can't see if a thing is doing 34% or if it's doing 41% because, you know, you have to approximate. That's spooky. But let's talk about the draft and where I was seated and stuff. So I was put 6th, and we had a 16-person draft, so that's kind of just smack in the middle there. You know, since I'm 6th, I can get a pretty good mon on the first round, and after that, I'm going to just have to get my picks where I can take them. So 6th puts me out of range of getting like the super awesome stuff, you know, like Magirna and Necrozma, even though it's not that broken. And some of the really, really nice Tapus. Some of the bans in this league, Tapu Lele's gone, Pheromosa's gone. We did allow Necrozma, which is good. Some of the other things, Sheer Force Landorus Incarnate's dead, so Sand Force is allowed, so that could be interesting, but it's still worth 180 points, and it is a point system, so it's like the GBA tiers, but we don't have to use the bullshit tier system to where you have to have a certain amount of each kind of tier, which is nice because I hate that a lot. So we're just doing points. We have like 1,200 points, and tier 1 is 180 points, tier 2 is 140, tier 3 is 100, 4 is 60, and 5 is 40. So just based on the points and what's around in the different tiers, I can stack my draft early on with some pretty heavy hitters and some really good mons, and then I can get some really nice value mons out of tier 4 and tier 5 because there are some very good mons out of there that I have my eye on for this. So with all that said, I knew that I wanted something cool. The first thing I wanted, of course, was well, not of course, but first thing I wanted was Magirna, but since I was 6th, and it involved me. Also, there's no megas because, you know, it's a Wi-Fi league and there's not that many megas around. So I basically just said I want something that's pretty good. I wanted Tapu Koko for my first pick, since even though it's like not the greatest first pick in the world, it's not going to drop back to me after what 12, no, it's not going to drop back to me after 10 plus like 20 picks. Yeah, I can math, I promise. 20 picks later, this thing's not going to drop to me, so I decided if Coco drops to me and Magearna doesn't, then I'm going to go with that. So Magearna got taken, but Tapu Koko is around. So introducing the first member of the Burger Kingler for this season of the NPCC is Shellburb, the Tapu Koko. So Tapu Koko is a cool guy. This is also going to trigger all the PPL people because they don't think it's a first round pick. I disagree. Like, it's not flashy, but I've been building with it a lot, and I really like what it can do. It can do a whole bunch of cool stuff. Obviously, Electric Surge is a great ability because it gives you electric terrain, so you can't get put to sleep or anything, and the biggest thing is it gives you a boost to your electric moves. So even though Tapu Koko has 95 base special attack and is a primarily a special attacker, T-Bolts are going to be doing a lot. Volt switches are really nice, and this is just a good mon for a lot of things. It has pretty good bulk, 70, 85, 75, with 130 speed allows you to be a pretty good bulky pivot, kind of like Crobat. I mean, it doesn't have the defensive typing of Crobat, but it outspeeds a whole bunch of mons and has pretty passable bulk, and it gets stuff like Roost and Nature's Madness and Taunt that allow you to be a very, very nice defensive pivot. And of course, it can be an attacker on both sides. It's got some really nice physical coverage moves, mainly Brave Bird and Wild Charge, but it also gets U-Turn, that's nice. It can status, it can taunt, it does cool stuff. And also, we have 3 Z eligible mons. We got to choose after the draft which ones we wanted, and we can use any Z move we want aside from the Omni boosting ones, so we can't get Z conversion Porygon Z. So that's like the only things that we couldn't do, but that means we can have nice things that can't do in the MPL. So like I don't know, Z Trick and Z Hypnosis and Z Weather moves. I think that's pretty cool. Definitely something to look out for. And Tapu Koko was my first Z move mon. The main reason was because Z Nature's Madness makes it Guardian of Alola, which takes off 75% of a mon's health, which is really cool. I really like that, so that was definitely a cool thing to watch out for because it lets me just chip away at things. And it's not the flashiest of the round ones, but I really like it, and I really think it fits my team because I get that speed right off the bat, and I really want to make this a speedy team. And one of my main focuses was to hazard stack and have mons that take advantage of hazard stack. So that's my Tapu Koko, and I totally cracked my voice, and that was weird. But my next mon, I wanted a strong, fast physical attacker. So mons I had in mind were going to be like Weavile and Infernape and potentially Landorus T. That would have been kind of cool, but basically things that one of the themes is things that get really hurt by or that can take advantage of spikes beyond the field. Mons that you have. The mons that are going to be switching into them are things that are grounded and are going to be taking hazards damage more than like a flying type. So I didn't want mons that were going to be like walled by flying types, and because I wanted to force hazards damage to be racked up, and things that got nice chip damage and were really good. That's one of the things about Tapu Koko that's nice, because this thing just lures in ground types, and if spikes are up, then they're taking spikes and a little damage from Stealth Rock and maybe Toxic Spikes, and I can just U-turn out on them, and then I get to drop into my other things. And I also want something that would pair well with Tapu Koko, something that could take advantage of like the grass types and the ground types that this thing didn't like. So that's a lot of jerking you off, but I ended up getting Weavile as my second pick. Gypsy Queen, because, you know, Gypsy is a cool guy, and this thing is like super good. So Weavile is a really good mon. I've used it a little bit before. I've used Sneasel pretty extensively, and this thing's just great. It really is. It's so good. It doesn't have a lot of versatility in its moveset, but it has just enough coverage, and it has setup, and its dual stab is incredible. It really is. Also, this mon gives me a base 125 speed stat, so I've got 130 and 125 speed as my first two mons, which is really, really nice. So most games I'm going to be faster than my opponent, and that's really, really nice, because that means I can stop mons from defogging. I can potentially knock out rapid spinners before they can get rid of my hazards, since that's the goal of this team, and that kind of thing. And Weavile's just super good. And it's a mon that pairs up very, very well with Tapu Koko, because the main things that are going to be coming in on Koko are ground types and grass types, and if I just U-turn into Weavile, then Weavile gets a free hit off, because those mons don't want to be taking Ice Punch or an Icicle Crash or any of those doodads. This thing gives me Pursuit, which is also nice because I do like having a Pursuit Trapper on my teams if I need it. And this is just another really good mon for a multitude of reasons. It gives me that really good offensive backbone along with Coco that I'm going to really appreciate. And like I said, it's one of those mons that's going to force my opponent to be bringing mons that are affected by spikes, because no flying type, aside from maybe Celesteela, is going to be taking on Weavile. And even if that is the case, I have my Tapu Koko that can really hurt those things. And the offensive synergy goes both ways, because the main ways that you beat Weavile are with just fat, physically defensive things like bulky waters and some bulky fires, and Tapu Koko just hits those hard, which is cool, and I like it. I did not make this thing a Z-move mon. I did consider it because powering up its coverage is pretty nice, but I opted that I wanted it on other mons, which I'll elaborate later on in the draft. So that was the thing. So after I got Weavile, I knew that I wanted to start on my bulky core and start getting my hazards. So the mon I had in mind over anything else was, well, there was only one mon I wanted to get here, and if I didn't get it, then I was like, well, shit, I'm just going to change my draft and get some nice spicy offense or something like that. But I wanted Skarmory, and I got Skarmory. So meet Excalibur. You may have seen this nickname around, but I am the inventor of it, I promise you. Skarmory is like everything I needed at this point, because my team's weak to fighting, it's weak to ground, Skarmory doesn't give a flying fuck about any of those things, and the big thing is it gives me a reliable hazard setter, which is great because Weavile and Tapu Koko love spikes and they love rocks being on the field, and Skarmory is just that wonderful thing that can get them up very reliably. Obviously the synergy is a little whack with Tapu Koko because electric types are even more invited in, but I definitely did patch that up later in my draft and along the way. Skarm's just that thing, really, it's thick, you know, it can just take hits from just about everything. It gives me a lot of nice key resistances, and it's a mon that I can just slap on pretty much every single team, and it's going to do well just because it walls so many mons. It can get up hazards for me, it can phase around, it has some cool offensive versatility since 80 attack, sword stance, and some decent coverage. Makes it a little hard to switch into if I EV it right. So that's kind of neat. Definitely a good start to my defensive core, and it's just a cool mon that I've not really used before. The only time I've had it is in the League War with Eric, and I did like how well it could get up hazards, and I really did like how hazards worked against his team. So the next mon I wanted to get was basically the only mon I knew that I absolutely wanted this draft, and basically the mon that I kind of wanted to draft this team around, and I decided in round 4 that this was going to be the time to get it. This is another mon that's going to really force my opponents to bring grounded defensive mons that are going to get hurt by the spikes, and it does a whole lot of things, and I'm giving you very vagueness about it, but I ended up getting round 4 Zygarde 10% Maggie. Shoutouts to Crater or Carter because he has the greatest dog in existence. Zygarde 10% or Zydog or Zydoge or Zydogo, any of those. I love this thing. This thing is really cool. Like the minute I saw this mon back when we were just announcing Sun and Moon, I was like, this thing looks super awesome. I hope to God that it's actually good and competitive, and it is, because look at its stats. I mean, it's not super impressive offensively. 100 attacks, not that great, but 115 speed, that's really good. So I've got another mon that's really fast. Paired with my Tapu Koko and my Weavile, I've got 130, 125, and 115. So once again, I'm going to be controlling the speed most of the time just because of how fast this team is. And the thing that makes Zygarde 10%, the dog, great is that it gets this cool move called 1,000 Arrows. And 1,000 Arrows is like completely busted. It's such a good move. Base 90 ground type move that hits levitating mons and flying mons. So normally your ground resist, or your ground resist is some kind of bird or some kind of fat thing along those lines, or a levitator. 1,000 Arrows doesn't give a shit about that because I can knock you out of the air and then hit you hard with 1,000 Arrows after that, and that's really cool, and that further emphasizes mons taking hazardous damage, which now that I have Skarmory, I can start to put that into play. It also has some cool stuff. It gets set up. It gets extreme speed, which gives me another form of priority along with Weavile, and a very bad form of priority with Quick Attack Tapu Koko, which I'll probably never bring. But this thing's nice. It's not very bulky, but because of its speed tier, in some matchups I can put some nice bulk on it, a fair amount of HP or defense or whatever, and it can take like a hit from stuff and knock him out. This is a great choice banded revenge killer. It can be a D-Dancer if I have the right matchup for it. And though its move pool isn't huge, on the physical side, it gets enough stuff that hits pretty much everything, and it has some nice meme opportunities, which I like. This is a really cool mon. It matches up fantastically against a lot of my opponents, which I really like. And overall, I wanted this mon. The second I joined the NPCC, and one of the main reasons I did was like I want to have a draft with the dog on it, and that was one of the main reasons I joined, as silly as that is. But that's the mon I drafted around, and I did actually get it, so woo, yay, party. I'm gonna try and speed this up a little bit. So now I got the dog. I've got my 3 big offensive boppers. These are the big things that are just going to pressure the living shit out of my opponents, and the rest of the way I wanted to get some more bulk. I wanted to get some more niche roles filled up and stuff like that. So after I got Skarm, I knew I just wanted another really fat thing so that I could just have Skarm plus the fat thing and really not have to make huge defensive teams, because I wanted to focus more on offense, and just having something that could drink every hit and wasn't a chansey was something ideal. So I ended up getting another mon that I've never used before. Every single mon on this team I have either never used or have not used in more than about 4 or 5 games in league play, so that's cool. So my next thing is a really thick mon, like even bulkier than Skarmory, and that's none other than Cress. Cress, Space Duck, you know what Cress does. It's really fat. It's nice for this team, it really is, because a lot of my mons are like pretty frail and weak priority, but Skarm and Cress, they don't give a shit about that. They can just drink every single hit on the planet, and this is a really hard core to break down. Cress, like, obviously it's only resisting a few things, but it resists neutral hits, basically. It just does. They don't do anything. This thing does not take damage, and it's really cool because of that. It does have a nice speed tier at 85. It has decent, okay attack stats. It's not the worst ever. It's a really good Calm Mind sweeper. It's very threatening, and it forces my opponent to build a certain way, because if they bring like a team that's based on being like really fast and like trying to pick apart and revenge kill my offensive guys, and they don't have enough firepower on the team, then they're like, oh, I can't kill this Cresselia, and then they lose. So that's cool. I'm a fan of that. Like, it has its vulnerabilities, but as long as you don't play stupid, then it shouldn't be taken advantage of too much, and just depending on what kind of set you bring. This is a really nice mon, prevents you from getting swept because it like never dies, and you can throw out T-Waves and stuff and things, and it has Lunar Dance, which is another cool thing that I really liked over other bulky psychic types, was the fact that it got recovery and it had Lunar Dance, so I could basically get a healing wish back into my offensive guys if I wanted to. So that's just about it with Cress, and after these first 5 picks, I spent a shit ton of points. Like, Tapu Koko, Weavile, Skarm, all 180 points, and Zydog and Cress are both 140 points. So I spent more than I think anybody else through the first 5 picks, but I was okay with that because I did know what I wanted from the lower tiers, and I did see some insane bargains for how this draft is working out. And the first one that I thought was an insane bargain at 100 points is a mon that can absolutely just shred teams, and it worked very well on my team. It gives me a nice thing and versatility and stuff. I got Tornadus Incarnate. Flying Shrek, because, you know, they don't stop coming. Torn is a really, really cool mon, and it accomplished a few things for me. First of all, it's 100 points, and it's, like, ridiculously good. Like, it doesn't get used a ton, but when it does, it does well, because 111 speed, 125 special attack, 115 attack. It has great coverage. It has 2 fantastic abilities in Prankster and Defiant. Defiant is fantastic for this team because I can prevent people or dissuade them from defogging. It gives me another speed tier that I really like at 111, so I'm just above those 110s, which is cool because, you know, being fast, it's awesome because Sonic and shit, you know. I decided to make Torn my second Z move user. It can get the Z weathers, excuse me, kind of sick, maybe. And also, it just has a lot of really strong coverage, so I can just like Oko stuff with a Z whatever move. It doesn't have great setup, all it gets is bulk up. If it had a nasty plot, it'd just be ridiculous, but unfortunately, Defiant's really cool. Prankster Tailwind's a cool thing to have around. It has some nice meme sets as well, which is cool, but this is a mon that's really hard for opponents to switch into, and it can really just punish a lot of things because it's not the stereotypical flying type, and it hurts stereotypical flying checks because it gets like Focus Blast and Heat Wave and Grass Knot and stuff that like kills rock and steel types, which is it's neat. I like this thing. I've never used it before. I've never used either Tornadus form, but it gets a lot of cool stuff, and I think that I'm going to be able to use it well. And the fact that I can just throw out like Z move Hurricane Supersonic Strike coming at 185 base base attack, that's kind of cool, you know. Like it's gonna hit hard, and it's going to be a mon that's going to give me a lot of utility. Gives me another taunt mon, another reliable one, since like Weavile is not clicking taunt, and usually I want other moves on Skarm aside from taunt. So that gives me another one with my Shellburb, so that's cool. And this is just going to be a nice mon that's going to be a plug and play. These first 5 mons could honestly come to just about every single matchup just because they're so good, and then the rest of my team is just plug and play based on the matchup. So that I really like that about this team, and I really just like how it matches up. So I'm just gonna pause because I built like a bunch of teams, and I'll show you the second half of my draft. Alright, so going into round 7, you see I got Jellicent. Jellicent was another 100-point mon, so I thought that's pretty good. I basically wanted a couple things at this point. I wanted a Ghost type, because I already have my Defiant mon, so I could defog block. I wanted a way to spin block. I wanted a Water type, so that I could, you know, not like lose to Scald, because Scald's annoying, and Crest as a Scald switch-in kind of isn't the best thing always, but hey. So Jellicent filled a couple roles for me. It gave me that spin blocker, which is really nice. It gave me the water immunity, which is nice. And it's just a cool mon in general that I haven't used before. It gives me a stall breaker. It gives me a bulky thing if I really need more fat, though normally Crest and Skarm can just kind of get it done on their own. This is a cool mon. It definitely does have some offensive capabilities as well. It has great coverage, and just having a spooker on the team is always nice because I like having the spook guys. It does open me up to like ghost types and stuff a little bit because I don't have much, but on the same token, I have a Weavile, and Weavile's one of the best revenge killers for the spooky ghost guys, so that's kind of cool. And I don't think I have to fight a Gengar unless I like make playoffs, and the other guy that has Gengar makes playoffs, but this is probably not a mon that I'm going to use a whole ton. It's mainly there to spin block, and if I'm really water weak. So that's a cool thing, but most of the time Skarm and Crest are just gonna get the job done, walling the shit out of everything. But it was definitely a good mon. Some of the other things I considered were like Blastoise, but then I'd also want to get a ghost type, and at this point in the draft I considered like Cofagrigus to get Toxic Spikes, but that got taken, even though that would have been a sick bargain because it was only like 60 points. But I didn't want to spend too much because at this point in the draft I'm getting pretty low on points. I'm going to have to get the low tier mons very, very soon, and I couldn't afford to get a bunch of mons from the 100 to 60 point range and stuff. So this gave me, it just filled some roles, which is nice. It's not the best, but it's pretty cool, and I think that it will accomplish what I need it to do when I need it to do stuff. So that's nice, you know. So looking at my team so far, I don't have a fighting type. I'm still lacking some resistances. I don't especially appreciate fire and ice moves that much. Rock moves are kind of spooky as well, so I definitely wanted to patch up some of those weaknesses and just have a good mon that could take advantage of hazards once again, and a mon that would some mons that would just kind of fit into my budget range. So basically at this point I'm left at the spot where I could finish up getting 4 tier 5s, which would leave me with 20 points extra, and being that I'm like slightly OCD, not really, but like, you know what I mean. I don't want to have extra points. I like to completely use up all of mine. Or I could get like a tier 3 and a tier 2 and like 2 tier 5s, yeah. But it's complicated. But I could have gotten a lot of things, but I had one mon in mind. I want to get my fighting type because fighting types are something that's really good to have because it's a great offensive typing, and this mon gave me a lot of cool little niches and stuff that I thought would be nice for my team, gave me a nice dark resist as well, so I ended up getting Slippy Fist, the Hariyama, for my round 8 pick. Hariyama's just really good. It really is. I told the NPCC to move this thing up from tier 5 to tier 4. Kind of wish I didn't, because having this thing as a tier 5 would have been it would have been lit, you know, because it's a great mon. Hariyama's like a very, very good mon. Like, it's NU, but it's so valuable in League format because it has 3 fantastic abilities with Thick, Fat, Guts, and Sheer Force. It's a good Assault Vest user. It can be defensive because look at that fucking HP stat. It's big. It's really big. It has 120 attack and it has good coverage, so it's hard to switch into. And it's just a really nice mon. If I have Toxic Spikes up, then I can just like click Fake Out and Toxic Stall, which is cool. And it's just a really nice pivot kind of mon, you know? Because I can come in and take hits that I don't especially want to be taking, you know, like Zygarde and Weavile are going to be getting revenged or try to be revenged by like fighting moves, or not fighting moves in this case, but fire and ice kind of attacks, and Hariyama just doesn't care if I have the Thick Fat, so I can come in and sponge some hits, you know, and just kind of have a nice pivot. It checks it's a nice check for some matchups, and it's a mon that is another really strong wall breaker, and since I do have coverage that can hit birds and flying types and stuff, you kind of have to, once again, go ahead and use one of your non-bird mons to try and switch into it. Just one of those fat, thick things, you know. I'm saying you know a lot, and I'm having fun. I don't know about you guys, but this is a cool mon that I've not used before. I definitely see some potential in it, and I definitely do like what I like what it can do, and it'll just be a fun thing to bring because it's cool, you know. Yeah. So next, I knew because I got Hariyama for 60 points, I had 120 points left, which meant I could get like a tier 4 mon, or no, we had to get 9 mons, and so I could hypothetically get like 1 tier 3 and then be done with my draft and have 9 mons on my roster, but I didn't like the sound of that, and I did have in mind what kind of tier 5s I wanted. I did see some high quality mons, like some really cool value picks out of the tier 5, some things that I've used a little bit before, some things that I've seen used really well, and I knew I could get everything I wanted to finish out my draft right from tier 5. And so I decided that I was going to get 3 of those. I wanted to get a Toxic Spiker, I wanted to get an Electric Immunity, and I wanted to get some sort of strong offensive threat. So because Zydoge is my only electric immunity, and the fact that it just dies to HP Ice, I knew I needed another ground type or some really solid electric immunity. So the first thing I got out of the tier 5s was a mon that you guys know before if you hang around the people that I hang around, and this mon is a Lord. In the last 2 seasons of the NPL, it has never lost a game on the teams that it's been on, so you can probably guess what it is. It's Stunfisk. Majesty the Stunfisk, because, you know, it's a king or a queen or whatever. Shiny Stunfisk also looks really cool. I love Stunfisk. It's super cool, and it's extremely underrated for what it can do. First off, Ground Electric is a really, really good typing defensively. It's just nice. It really is. It gives me a solid electric immunity. It's very, very bulky, 109 HP with 84 and 99 defenses. That's really good. It's hard to kill. Like, it doesn't have good recovery, but it gets pain split. It's a reliable stealth rocker, and it beats and it can 1v1 like most of the common defoggers because it has that electric typing, so it's also a flying resist. And even though birds are really not that common in this draft, it's a great bird check along with Scarm, so I should never lose to a birdmon. It's just really nice. It's super hard to kill. It can get rocks up reliably. It has really nice coverage actually, and it does have a decent enough special attack stat at 81 to take advantage of some decent coverage, and it has other cool niches and moves and stuff and things that's nice. It's it's my second rocker on the team. Obviously having more rockers would be good, but this is a mon that's really great to plug in. It gives me that great stop to electric types, and it's just fun, and it's a Stunfisk, and you know, like it's a Stunfisk. It's awesome. I love this thing. It's the best. It's the best mon ever. It's the greatest. I'm gonna win because of it, because I have a Stunfisk. Yeah. So out of the 3 mons, I knew that Stunfisk was going to be the most irreplaceable out of the last 3 mons I wanted, because the only other ground type that was like good in the tier was Golurk, and I told Uzi to get that, and he did. So this was like the only thing I wanted as my electric immunity, so I got it, and that's good. I actually sniped somebody off Stunfisk, so you know, the Stunfisk wave is spreading. Everyone's gonna have this thing on their team, or gonna want it on their team by the end of 2017. You already know it, I'm saying it here. If you know what you're doing, you're gonna want a Stunfisk on your roster. It's a lizard thing, but I knew that I wanted a really nice offensive powerhouse, and this is a mon that I had my eye on from the beginning of the draft. Actually, I used it a little bit in the UAL, and it's just a really cool mon. It's very underrated, and it's got a lot of offensive versatility on it, and that is none other than Mugen the Shiftry. So it's a samurai. It's a weeb samurai show thing. Go watch Samurai Champloo, even if you're not a weeaboo. It's awesome. Shiftry is really cool. I love Shiftry. I used it very little in the UAL, but just looking at what it can do, and especially with the fact that I made it one of my Z-move eligible mons, yes, those are words, I really like what this thing can do, because it gets some very, very high octane powered moves. It gets Focus Blast, you know, base 120, Z-move, that makes it like base 190 or something, I think. It gets Leaf Storm, that's also very, very strong. It gets Hurricane. In certain matchups you can use like Low Kick or Leaf Blade or something like that. It gets Nasty Claw and Swords Dance, which is cool. It gets Shadow Ball, I guess, but that's redundant. What other things can we talk about for no reason, because stuff and things? It gets a lot of really cool moves. I really like what this thing can do. It can be a Sun setup sweeper. I can go for Z Stunny Day and then like be way faster than everything else for no reason, then like spam leap or the grass solar meme. What am I talking about? This thing's really cool. It gives me a bad defog option if I really need it, but most of the time my idea is that I'm going to hazard stack the shit out of my opponent and force them to defog and try and punish them with my Tornadus by going into the Defiant guy, because that's what I'm doing. Also, the Explosion. It gives you a base 250 move, and it doesn't kill you right away, so you can click Explosion twice. And I think that's awesome, because, you know, it's like, it's cool, because Explosion's a cool move. What am I doing with my life? This thing, it's just a cool guy. It really is. Also, I think that if I go for a Z Tailwind, it gives me a boost to my critical hit ability, and then Leaf Blade has a boosted crit chance, so I believe that means that I get 100% crit Leaf Blades, probably, maybe, and that'd be kind of cool. I'm just babbling. I like Shiftry. People might raise an eyes like, why the fuck do you have a Z-move Shiftry? Why do you have a Shiftry on your team? But like, don't sleep on it, guys, or please sleep on it if you're an NPCC opponent, so I can whip it out when you least expect it and then kill all of your Pokemon. So that's cool. Really like this guy. And finally, in my last slot, I wanted some way to get up Toxic Spikes, because Toxic Spikes on my team, so nice. Oh man, they'd be incredible. So I wanted a Toxic Spike user, and it's basically like, I had a couple to choose from. My 3 that I was going to get would have been Venomoth, Garbodor, or Frogadier. Each of them had a very good reason to be on the team. Venomoth can Quiver Dance, and while I can't Quiver Pass, it gives me a nice setup sweeper that's like kind of decent, sort of. It's a cool mon. Could also be a thing that can soak up T-Spikes. Garbodor would give me access to Spikes and Toxic Spikes, and also have some cool offensive and defensive niches, and also soak up the T-Spikes. However, the one that I ended up picking, Frogadier, is really cool. It's a mon that I haven't used before, but it's definitely something I've considered drafting a fair bit. And yeah, I got Frogadier, HP Grass. Sorry, Brad, I had to. It gets Protean, which is cool. It gets Toxic Spikes. Unfortunately, it doesn't get Spikes, but this is a really cool mon that's going to round out my team. One, it gives me an offensive water type, which is something that you should have on most drafts because offensive water is spooky. Two, it's a mon that people are going to sleep on sometimes, and it's still Baby Gren. 83 special attack, with basically always a choice specs or a choice band and life orb and stuff, you know? It's cool. It has nice utility options. It can set up T-spikes. It can taunt things. It can U-turn around. It's nice. Wait, does it get Water Shuriken? It does not. I didn't think it did. I knew it did not because I've used Frogadier for memes before. But this is just a really cool mon to round out the team. It gives me... It's just a nice mon that can revenge kill some things. Also, it gives me a really nice speed tier at base 97 because after going from, I believe, Tornadus, I went all the way down to like Cresselia at 85 and Shift Rate 80. So having that 97 is pretty nifty so that I can I can prevent every mon that's slower than Torn from like being modest with max HP because that'd be bad, like really bad. That's cool. Frog it's a cool mon. It can get up T-spikes, which I really wanted, and it's also a slight offensive powerhouse. Like just really fat stuff is going to wall it out, but on slower teams that have common weaknesses, I can just fire off hits and be kind of a threat to them and be a minor nuisance so that my faster, stronger, sexier mons, not sexy, I'm not a furry, fuck that, my faster, stronger, flashier mons can like go and sweep. So yeah, that's cool. I think it's going to be a neat mon. I'm definitely excited to play with this team. It's going to be a lot of fun. I've already built a fair bit, and I'm really excited. I'm really excited. I definitely think that any mon can be brought on any week just because of how nice and versatile and useful each of my Pokemon is. And it's just going to be fun. I'm going to definitely enjoy playing in this league unless I get hacked, and then I'll become a bitch, but you know, that's how life turns. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Leave a like or whatever if you are excited or something. Tell me what you think about the team. I really like this team. It's not like the most sound structurally, and it's a little memey at times, but I think it's going to be very fun. Definitely one of the more fun drafts I've ever had, and hopefully that will turn into wins because stuff and things, because you got to meme into victory, you know? So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll see you guys later. Bye!